Hello, 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 and welcome to Get Comfortable by Lizana-Prodeaux. I am the voice behind Get Comfortable. Wanted to take the time out to say thank you for all the likes, shares, and subscribes. We are over 700 views, which seems small to many, many channels, but for us, it is grand, and we truly do appreciate it. We're thankful for everything, big and small. Having a humble and grateful heart for everything draws in more abundance. I always speak about that. So thank you guys so much for engaging. We appreciate it. This is going to be a story time, and it is normally my messages are timeless, but this is more on a time frame. So just listen. I've started to record something about change, and so I got like 5 minutes into it, and I realized this is a perfect time to talk about a situation that I entered into a few years ago, and it was based off of a change that I didn't want to experience. So, back in, I'm not going to give the exact time frame, so I'm just going to say a few years ago. I was experiencing a very difficult time financially, and some things were going on with my home place where I would have had to move. And I was very distraught. I was very stressed. I had become very, I was in a very dark place. I felt like helpless. I felt, you know, I just didn't know which way to go. I didn't know what to do. And the type of person that I am, I'm a person who feels like I can accomplish and achieve anything. I felt at the time I was the person to like dictate my life. Like I had no idea, even though I was saved at that time, even though I was a believer in God, or so I thought, I never really took the time to realize I'm not in control the way I thought I was. So I pulled so many different strings, and I was just living from check to check, overdrafting crazy, just trying to get by. And at the time, I was living alone, and I was really struggling with so much financially. And so I came upon the situation. I was looking for help. Nobody could really help me, and I thought I was gonna, going to be forced to move. And I was so focused on embarrassment of what would happen, if I couldn't keep up with everything, and where I would be, where I would end up, things of that nature. And it was in those moments, I'm sorry, it was in those moments that I realized, again, I'm not in control, but I had to face some fears and go through some situations that could have been deemed embarrassing. And I had to allow those things to happen and unfold. And I made a decision that, so often I'm going to say our people because it's true, but I'm going to just say in general, sometimes we think if we sweep it under the rug or we ignore it, it'll go away. But this wasn't a situation I could really ignore. It was almost like if I didn't do something about it, I would be in an even more messed up situation. So I went ahead, I did what I had to do, and it's again the embarrassment, I'm a very private person, so putting myself out there, to even have to do what I had to do, it shook me to my core. But it was something that was just like, you know what, you have to fight for what you need to make everything all right. And if that means that you're uncomfortable and you have to be embarrassed, or you're going through a change you don't want to go through, you have to do it anyway. And so on top of it being a learning experience, it was also something that made me realize I'm not in control the way I thought I was. I was always a person that found a way to make something work the way I wanted it to work. And not being open to certain situations because I didn't want to end up and being very private. And it was like God was like, nope, you can't be private about this. Nope, you're going to have to go through this the hard way, because I've been telling you to do things a different way. And that's just for me. I'm not saying that part is for somebody. So, but I was very hard-headed. I always found a way to finagle and make things work. And it was just like I was at the end of my rope, and I couldn't make anything work the way I was used to. It was like, no, something has to change. The way that you're going about your life is actually more stressful than it should be. Like, I need to get you back on track. Like I said, I was living from check to check. I was overdrafting crazy. So by the time my check hit, I had to pull from, my check wasn't a full check. I was really in a bad way, but I was on my own, and it was just really a scary time. So I got through, on the other side of me getting through that, I learned so much about change, unwanted change at that. And so this message is for somebody who's going through an unwanted change. And you're frustrated because you don't know what the outcome is, because that's one of the things that also for me. I'm extremely gifted with intuition. And it was like, even when you are, certain aspects of your life will be hidden by the divine if they don't want you to see it. If God doesn't want you to know it, see it, you won't. You could see everything else, anything else for anyone else. But certain aspects of your life will be hidden if God doesn't want you to see it. It doesn't matter how intuitive you are. And for me, that was extremely rough. It was extremely rough because, here I am, like, just knowing so much and then not knowing nothing at the same time with this. I've always been a very humble person, but again, I'm very private. And so, like, my wins, my downfalls, my ups, my downs were always just private. People who knew me well or know me well, my family or close friends, they would know, but nobody else would know. And this was just a trying time for me, because not only did I have to put my stuff on Front Street, I'm trying not to curse on here, not only did I have to, like, put my stuff on Front Street and allow myself to be vulnerable and open and do things I didn't want to do, I found the strength in it at the end. Like, I know I don't want to experience this again, but that means I have to move differently, right? And then sometimes when we're just going about life, we realize, again, things are going to happen we don't want to happen. We're going to have problems. We're going to, and financial is just a small part of it all, because you can get money back, but you're going to go through changes where you're going to lose people or lose relationships, not dying per se, but you're going to have to dead certain connections, not because you want to, because it's just not healthy for you. I can list a few relationships and friendships that I've had to end because, one, they're not adding anything to my life, they're taking. And then two, we just are not good together. We don't add value to each other's lives. And I'm saying each other because often we will look at somebody else and say, what value am I adding to their lives? I mean, I'm adding value to their lives. What are they giving me? But being transparent, sometimes certain people, you can't get through to them and they can't get through to you. And sometimes you have to let things go. So this is all a part of change. You're going to go through issues with your person, your spouse, whoever you're with. You're going to go through problems with them. Changes that you might not want to take on. They might feel away. You have to go along with their changes and adapt. If you have children, you're going to have to go through their ups and downs and their feelings and be there for that. And then the home place is always ever changing. Repairs need to be done. Neighbors and issues they might bring. Things that you need to get, done around the house that cost money, cars. Certain situations might put you at a disadvantage. But I'm saying all of this to say that change is inevitable. You can't get around it sometimes, but you can prepare for it if you see it coming. So for whoever I'm speaking to, you're in a season of change, and you might be looking at it in a negative place, and you might be hanging in limbo, and you might not know what to do. You might not know what's coming, but you don't have to sit in that. You can prepare in a way for yourself to make the blow easier if you know it's coming. For people who don't know it's coming, when it comes, sometimes that's the best way, because you don't anticipate it coming. I always say to my person, because we watch these shows, and he thinks I'm a punk because I don't like to see murders or killings or beatings or anything like that are anticipated on TV. And I like to think that in real life, I'm a person who does not run from confrontation or issues or problems. And that's probably not a good thing all the time. But when it comes to shows and anticipation of something negative or bad happening, I don't want to see it. And he doesn't understand it. And I think he's finally getting it. And I've said it multiple times. He's like, how come you can watch? We seen a show yesterday, and it was like, you're watching a lot of, they're killing each other. Like, everybody's getting stabbed up, shot up, things of that nature. But it wasn't anticipated. It was a fighting scene, killing scene, but it was just like all over. Now, it's the other parts that lead up. And so when the same happens with change, especially ones that are unwanted, we get into a space where, damn, this is getting ready to happen. What am I supposed to do? What am I going to do? And instead of finding a solution, we harp on either waiting for it to happen and blow things up, or we stress about it so badly, and it doesn't even turn out the way we think it was. But we done got gray hair. We done lost weight, gained weight from the stress and strain we've put on our internal systems because we're anticipating something negative. If you know something's coming, make the necessary changes. And you can always make a change. You can always find a solution, but your mind has to be solution based. And oftentimes we're not solution based. And I learned that from my person. Yes, we have an issue. We have an issue, but okay, what's the solution behind it? Yes, let's take the time to acknowledge this is not good. This is uncomfortable. This doesn't make me feel great. But okay, once we move past, we can't sit in that. So what's next? Okay, let's move forward. Let's figure out how to make this best for you, make this a better situation for everybody that's involved. You have to be solution based if it's an unwanted change, especially if you know it's coming and you're anticipating it. You might not know how everything is going to blow over once it hits, but you can prepare. Preparation is the key to success. I'd rather be prepared than not be prepared. And I think that's in any situation that you go through. So take the time to think of how to get ahead of whatever changes that you're experiencing, or how to soften the blow. Just make lists. I'm always a person that promotes writing things down. Do not sit there and wait for it to happen, for crap to hit the fan, and then you're assed out. Don't do that. Okay? What's crazy though is what I'm getting, and I know a lot of you are not even going to make it this far because for some reason you guys don't like watching videos all the way through. But if you do make it this far, it's good for you, because you'll know that even though there's changes that are coming for people within the next week or two. And it's not just a you-me thing, it's a huge thing that's going on. There's some changes happening in the next week or two. And after those changes occur, it's going to take about a month for everything to settle and for reality to set in. And during this time, other changes are going to start happening, that subtle changes that you're not going to see. But good financial stability is coming. And opportunities are going to reveal themselves after this change. So for the month in between, or the 2 months in between, you're going to feel like, what's happened? How do I get a grip on what I just experienced? And then it's going to be like a release after that. You know, it's going to be a big, like a sigh of relief, a let go, you know, of things. And you're going to be in a better place. So don't allow what's going on to stress you out. Again, we go through issues. Like I explained, I went through a ton of issues. I'm in a better place because of those negative times that I went through. Sometimes we got to get knocked around a little bit, and some sense has to be knocked around into us for us to say, damn, like I can't keep living the way I'm living. There's better for me, or I need to get on my shit. I couldn't hold the curse words anymore. Not being true to myself. I curse all the time. And it's something I'm working on. And I'm trying not to have a potty mouth. But it is what it is. Sometimes you just got to work through your shit. And that's just what it is. You have to work through it. And, changes sometimes are a great proponent of us being a better version of ourselves. So I don't know if I want to give more, but if you're going through this right now, I just want to tell you that it's okay. Prepare if you can, because whoever I'm talking to, something's coming. You know it. And you need to get your ducks in order. You need to plan out what will happen if A, B, or C happens. So I love you to the moon and back. There's positivity and changes coming that you might not like at first, but it is going to work out. It's going to work out, and everything is going to be fine. You're going to be okay. I'm telling you that you're going to do well. And you're going to look back on the situation and say, damn, I stressed about this for weeks, for months, and look where I am just 2 months later, because whoever I'm talking to, it is May, the very first week of May. And I normally do not like to do timeless. I'm just going to go ahead and say I normally do timeless videos. But for whoever this is for, this is, if you're listening to this and it's not May, the changes that you're going to experience are going to happen in about a few weeks. I'm going to say between the 2nd and 3rd week of May. And during that time, you're not going to be a fan of what's going on. However, I'm trying to use my words wisely, because I don't want to say be a fan, because the changes are not bad. However, within the next month after that change, or the next 2 months, you're going to see a positive shift, and you're going to be like, damn, where did this come from? Because it's not going to be from anything that you've done. It's going to be from just strictly the change that you didn't want to happen. And that's just that. So it is May. This is the first week of May. However, if you're hearing this and this is months down the line, then yeah, that time frame is real. So just understand that. Understand also that time is fluid, and what I'm saying may not happen at that exact time, but this is what I'm getting. All right? I love you guys to the moon and back, but of course God loves you more. Please take care and embrace the change. Fall into it. Don't go against it. All right? Talk to you soon. Bye.